Uh-oh.
Hey, welcome to Let's Talk Nation. I'm your man, Rod Levin. With me tonight is none other than, hey, I don't know. I was just about to give you a new title, Master of Controversy, but I'm not going to do that to you, Doc.
Hey, ain't nothing controversial about me.
I'm not going to do that to you, Doc, because you know how to keep the conversation going. How you doing this evening, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm kind of sad because I'm worried about my mango trees, like everybody else in Florida.
Doc,
they look sad.
Doc, you had an update about citrus, man. What's the update on citrus?
Well, citrus is another thing. The citrus industry has steadily been declining in Florida, and now this recent freeze caused $3 billion in damage to the citrus crop.
Hang on, but Doc, is that the citrus crop? Is that just confined to Florida, or is that nationally?
That's just Florida.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even know we still did that much in citrus because, Venezuela has kind of surpassed what Florida used to do in citrus. And, it's not just citrus. Let me back up. That's $3 billion in agricultural losses, but a big significant part of that is citrus because it's still the biggest crop that we grow in the state.
Hey, so Doc, tell me this, because this weather that we're seeing this is not normal, right? Define a nor'easter.
Huh?
What is the nor'easter? What do they call it?
A nor'easter. Nor'easter. Yeah. That's when that Arctic front comes down from up north with subtropical temperatures.
So just imagine we're in Florida complaining about this cold spell that we're getting, but have you seen what's taking place up north?
Man, listen, even in Carolinas, I call my kids, all my kids live North Georgia, north of Atlanta, and in the Atlanta area. And of course it snowed up there and everything. And that's not the norm in that area. So, you gotta educate yourself about global warming. Because the problem is that the earth is always changing weather cycles. You get what I'm saying?
Well, I just know it's cold in Florida.
And here's the thing about what a lot of conservatives believes. They believe that the Democrats invented global warming to make money with them energy credits. Remember when they was talking about the energy credits? And I kind of think that because the earth is always warmed and cool. That's always a given cycle. So we have to take that weather change with a grain of salt. It's not like we can go up there in the clouds and change it. But what's interesting now, guess what else is happening with this cold weather? A drought. Now, I had never heard a drought with the cold weather like this, but Florida is experiencing droughts, and you're having wildfires over in Orlando and Volusia County as a result.
So Doc, we got this crazy weather that's taking place, and then we also have a drought. But you know what? What we're going to give everybody tonight, Doc, we're going to give them a little information about what's taking place, up to date. On the legislative session, everybody wants to know about where they at with property tax reform. Everybody's heard in the discussion about the Supreme Court ruling regarding tariffs. What else?
Wait. Before we get into that, now we gotta talk about the general. The general's still on special assignment. We don't want to gloss over that. But you know, you and I can't do that intro like he do.
Oh yeah. You're right. You're right.
Let's Talk Nation with Doc and Rod, and we're gonna try to up your IQ at least 1,000 points tonight. You're gonna learn something before you leave here.
Hey, Doc, and I'm glad you mentioned the general, because for those of you who are unfamiliar, Attorney Greg Jackson, he is, and I tell you, a very skilled and talented attorney. He works for the Dan Newland law firm, and Mr. Jackson has been very, very busy. And I was hoping that he got out of trial early tonight, Doc, so that he could join us. But for those of you who tune in on a regular basis, the general has been staying extremely busy.
Yeah, but you know, we can fill in. I think between the two of us, we have some good thoughts.
Hey, between the two of us, hey, one of the topics that the general really would love getting his arms around, man, is the Supreme Court, man, the ruling that took place this past week. And Doc, a lot of people ask, what is it that the court did? And I'm gonna just go ahead and frame it up, Doc. And I know you're going to give a definition on what a tariff is, but the United States Supreme Court struck down the White House's administrative sweeping tariffs that were imposed under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. So for those folks who are asking, okay, what does all that mean? From a legal perspective, the justices found that the president exceeded his statutory authority and that the law does not clearly authorize broad and permanent import tariffs. So, Doc, give everybody the definition of tariffs.
Okay, this the public definition of a tariff. A tariff is a tax on imported goods. Now, you know, a lot of people don't understand that, but the foreign country does not pay that tax. It's a tax on the goods and services. Well, it's on the domestic company, the importer, to pay that tax to U.S. Customs. And guess who they pass that cost on to? You and I. So it's not really against them. Now, in the long term, the tactic supposed to help our industries compete with foreign goods and services by making them more expensive. That's the hope, but it doesn't always work out that way. Now, I'm gonna tell you something, and I was impressed when I found this out. You know, right that afternoon, President Trump went and announced a new tariff. And guess what?
What's that?
Now, a tariff, they knocked his ruling down because the authority of writing tariff lays with the Congress under the Constitution. The Constitution, the power to lay and collect taxes and duties belong to Congress, not the president. Okay? Now, the president can use a 1977 emergency law, the IEEPA, to bypass Congress. And they said that imports on an emergency does not give the president the power to tax immediately. So what did he do?
What he did was he used his executive authority, correct?
No.
What did he do?
He changed the law. Not changed the law. He changed the basis of his act based on law, Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974. Now, unlike the previous law that they wrote it around, Section 122 is a temporary measure. It's capped at 15% and expires after 150 days unless Congress votes to extend it. So he don't need Congress now.
So what? But Doc, here's the other piece. What the Supreme Court did, they also provided a guide for the White House, if you would, basically saying what he had the authority to do, correct?
Yeah. So that was what gave them that avenue right there. Now the problem
question for you, and I know I'm gonna throw this at you pretty fast, but and I think the general addressed this when we started talking about tariffs, but the United States, when we send out products across the world, United States get hit with tariffs very heavily, correct?
Oh yes, especially so.
Yeah, but we had been placing those same tariffs on countries sending their goods and products here.
Well, the thing is that we don't export to the level that we used to, because many of the goods made in America are just too expensive for the rest of the world.
But Doc, I think it's important for people to also know when you talk about the Supreme Court and their ruling, it's interesting to see, it was a 6-3 split too.
Yeah.
So you had 3 that dissented from that ruling. But, a lot of people are asking what are going to be some of the immediate effects. Many of the emergency style global levies that were invalidated through some sector or specific, people really don't know what the next move is, because everybody's hearing refund, but nobody really knows what the next move is going to be.
Well, according to them, it's thrown the whole refund process in chaos. It's over $160 billion in tariffs that have been collected.
Well, what it says about, but when we talk about money impact, and I'm citing the language directly. The decision could trigger large refunds or reduce costs for importers. Estimates in reporting potential liabilities and refunds in the tens to hundreds of $billions would it be?
Yeah. Yeah, 160 billion is estimated.
But where's that money going to come from, Doc? Is that's money that's been
listen to this. This is what's wild. Now, that's going to have to come out the Treasury. But if they take place, it goes back to the companies they collected it from. So guess where the companies got their money from?
The consumer.
You and I. And they don't have to give us back our money.
Wait, say that again, Doc. They what?
The money collected from those companies through that tariff, right? The administration would have to give that back. But that money was earned because they raised the prices and passed along that cost of the tariffs to the consumer.
See, but that's why.
And they don't have to get that money back to the consumers.
But that's why it's good to have the general in the studio, because, Doc, what that sounds like to me is a great deal of litigation that's going to take place, and that can very well take place.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I'm not the lawyer on the team. So I'm just telling you from my understanding, and I'm not saying that it's legally sound, but from what I researched, there's nothing that's going to compel them to give us back our money. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
so they have standing because it's an illegal tariff taken from them. So
I guess the Supreme Court has spoken, but there'll still be, and Doc, if you get a ruling from the Supreme Court, where do you appeal to? There's no appealing, is it?
No.
What do you do?
That's it. It's Supreme Court.
Yeah. So there's no,
So the only thing is you can't be what is it called? See, we do need general here. In contempt. So if they refuse to do this, that holds them in contempt.
Well, okay. And Doc, I'm going to say this, and then I want to continue we got some other topics, but how do you hold the most powerful office in the land in contempt?
No, I'm saying the Supreme Court can hold the Trump administration in contempt if they don't follow their ruling.
Okay, my question stays the same to you.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I agree. It's not like they could send the police there to arrest them.
You're right. You're right.
And so, it's not like they can go and take the money.
Hey Doc, we have a caller in that I want to, I guess, chime in on this conversation because it is interesting. Hey caller, thank you for joining Let's Talk Nation. Who do we have the pleasure of speaking to?
You're having this pleasure of speaking to John Burr.
John, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
I am doing fabulously, and I just wanted to add a couple of cents, maybe 2 cents to this conversation, if I might.
Absolutely.
What I've been hearing is that Scott Besson has said that our revenues will remain the same for 2026, and the deals that we've made will stay in place. Now, that's a perspective of the administration.
Now, John, before you go further, you got to tell people who Besson is now.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's the head of the Treasury. He's Secretary of the Treasury.
Okay.
And I believe that will be the case. And since he seems to be right on target each time he makes some of these prognostications, he tends to be correct. Having said that, Doc is absolutely right. The money is owed back to the people. It's actually, there have been a number of large CEOs, Costco I heard is involved, that are asking for their money back. The way that I'm hearing it is that they'll be tied up in those court proceedings for literally a year.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the president, as you point out, and Scott Besson has come out and said, we have other authorities, and we're going to draw from those authorities, number one, and some of them are temporary, 150 days or some such thing. But having said that, they're going to then work with Congress. And of course, the president's mind is we've got the House, even though it's minimal, they're sticking together. And the Senate is the problem because you need 60 votes. Unless there's reconciliation, in which case we don't need 60 votes. So there's a strong sense that might be the method of addressing these kinds of issues. And lastly, the Supreme Court, as I've heard the experts speak about this, what I'm hearing the experts say is that what the Supreme Court said was that, number one, the president can make a complete ban. I mean, they can go to any country and say, you may not sell in the United States. He has that authority already, which obviously is rather extreme and I don't think would be productive. What he's saying, though, is that of the rights that he has under these emergency conditions, the word tariff was not included. And because the word tariff was not included, he doesn't have the ability to do that. If he can get the Congress to include that word tariff, it would put him right back where he was 10 minutes before they made that ruling.
Okay, so John, and I appreciate that because you know what, Doc? John is breaking this thing down like one of our other friends of the show, Dr. Aubrey Jewett over at UCF, political science professor. But John, let me ask you this. We're having this conversation about tariffs, and Doc framed it up pretty good earlier. But what's your thought or opinion about the fact that the United States, and Doc hit on the point that we don't manufacture or we don't produce a lot of goods that we export like we used to, but forever and a day, we would always get hit with high tariffs on the products that we did ship out of the country. But now all of a sudden, we want a piece of the pie too from things coming into the country. What's your thoughts about, where we're at today?
Yes. Well, the fact is that countries have, for many decades, have been saying, we'd like to have your products, we'd like you to buy our products but we don't want to buy your products.
Yep.
Because you might either make better products or you might better make them cheaper than we can make them ourselves. So, I mean, that applies really to agricultural, I think, more than manufacturing. But also, the industries like steel, what the Chinese and the Russians and Japanese were coming into our country. They were, because they could manipulate their currency, was creating a thing where they could sell it to us cheaper than we could manufacture it. So we lost a lot of our manufacturing and therefore jobs, strong blue collar jobs that paid a lot of money.
And John, when we talk about the manufacturing of those cheap products that we would buy from other countries, would you say that when we did that, we also put ourselves in a position that we were somewhat complicit when we would look at child labor abuses in other countries based on a lot of what they would do to produce these products at very cheap labor rates?
Absolutely. But we weren't doing to them what they were doing to us. Maybe if we realized that, like in China, where they don't really have the child labor laws, if we would put a tariff on them so that they weren't, so that what we made here would compete with what they had, what they were bringing the government into our country. Plus, up until I believe it was the early teens of the 1900s, we were making a lot of money from tariffs. Mm-hmm. And in fact, we were making so much money from tariffs, we really didn't need an income tax. Oh. So I'm not saying, and Trump has said this a couple of times, I'm not suggesting that we go entirely to income from tariffs, but that is something in the back of the mind of this administration, is that if we can get enough tariffs coming in, because let's face it, everyone wants to do business with us.
You're right.
They want Americans to buy their products.
Right, because
as long as we were making those products.
We have the biggest consumer market in the world.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, John. Hold 1 second. Doc, what were you saying?
So I wanted to point out, we have the biggest consumer market in the world. We buy more goods and services than any other, I think, the next 5 largest countries. So, and what that tells you is, and that's part of the problem. The rest of the world doesn't consume stuff the way that the United States does. So that's a disadvantage to us because we can't then turn around and sell at the volume. Okay, they'll buy a pair of pants, and that pair of pants may last them 15 years.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's to sum it up, though. To sum it up, I believe what's taking place with tariffs, America's trying to level the playing field.
That's it. That is it precisely. And Doug is also right. I mean, I think our and someone should check me on this, but it's something like $18 trillion consumed each year. China is less than that, but near. European Union altogether gets to close, but again, less. So we're the big guy in the world of who to sell to.
Yeah. Hey, John, I'm gonna ask you this question, and then Doc, I'm gonna pivot to you. And John, I want to go ahead and lay this out for you real quick, and that is this. We often identify problems that we have. We always identify issues that are out there that have been out there forever, and we complain about it never having been addressed. Now we're addressing tariffs, and to me, there's no easy way to go about addressing it. So you're gonna bruise some folk in doing this. What are your thoughts about how do you get past addressing the need for the United States to level the playing field without?
I love your question, Rod. I love your question because I remember, I'm old enough to remember that my grandfather had a Liberty Garden when World War II was going in full force, we're sending everything we had, good beef, the vegetables. I mean, everything was being sent over to our guys that were fighting the war.
Okay.
So what did you do at home? You created your own gardens. And what did we have? We had, we ate tongue, cow's tongue. We did things, we sacrificed so our guys would have the best that we could offer them. So Americans are incredibly resilient.
Man.
So I believe that we're capable of paying a price to get to a better place.
Boy, well said, John. Hey, Doc, I saw you smile when John was talking about cow tongue. What was that?
Hey, that's old school eating right there.
That's old school eating.
So,
John, very well said, man. I mean, you know, we're gonna have to look at getting a little physical. I mean, this is a contact sport, if you would. We talk about all the problems that are out there, but if folk believe that we can address these problems with everybody still having this feel good type of mentality, we can't do it.
That's right.
One of the things I think about, Rod, is the fact that America has a problem of everybody is using us, and there's nobody for us to use. That's how I look at the economic conflict that's out there, because we are constantly financing many countries around the world because we're buying their goods.
Hey, to the tune of billions and billions of dollars. And Doc,
exactly.
when we look at home and we see people on the street, we see veterans that need a place to lay their heads and things of that nature.
Right. But one of the cogs in the machinery is labor costs. Nobody likes to talk about that. That's a thing. And I think we're going to see a move. I don't like the idea of a universal income because I think that's counterproductive. I really do. I know it's counterproductive if you think about the economics of it. But we're going to have to come up with a new American economy where we are not financing the improvement of everyone else. I remember when I was a kid, if you had something with made in Japan on it, you were poorer than poor. You were looked at, that's like you just bought junk. And now those Japanese companies have risen to become major competitors. I remember when they first started making selling Japanese cars here, and more recently the Kias and Hyundai. I don't know if y'all remember the Hyundai.
I remember that, Doc. But Doc, to your point, and you were talking about the same conversation with Greg and I years back. We are going to have to sharpen this saw because AI and automation, robots, and all of that. We got to figure out our own niche. But
and it's coming fast. It's coming fast.
Hey, John, before I sign you off, this is something that I'm gonna ask you, and I don't know how well versed or how up on this that you are. And Doc and I are going to go into this in a few minutes. But the 2026 Florida legislative session, they're addressing a myriad of issues before the legislature. But one issue that is getting the majority of the attention right now is the issue of property tax reform. What are some of your thoughts on what's taking place now in the legislature dealing with property tax?
Well, there's this whole movement in this federally and in our state to consider whether the kinds of revenues, to think in a unique and not off the shelf, but truly unique, out of the box kind of thinking. And when the president made this statement before about how before there was income tax, there was tariffs, and we brought in enough money to live off that alone. We didn't need income tax, but then we did. So are we bringing in enough income from other sources that we don't need the property tax. We already provide no income tax in the state of Florida. And because of it, we're getting hordes of people coming to our state. If we were able to lower the property taxes or maybe eliminate it altogether, think about the people that would want to live in Florida and how prime Florida would be. Now, can it be done? I really don't have an intelligent answer to give to you on that. But okay. Thinking out of the box, being a disruptor, which is this seems to be the age of disruptors. Maybe we should consider every option, right?
Hey, John, put a comma, not a period. Hey, Doc, John is speaking on something that I'm gonna go ahead and admit it. I had no clue on when he talks about we generated revenue purely on tariffs before we had income tax.
Yeah.
Now we gotta. Did you know that, Doc?
No, I didn't.
So I want to go back and we're gonna do some research on that because John, you're peeling back that onion. But let me go ahead and say this: the Florida House has moved closer to where the governor is as it relates to the property tax reform, and that is an aggressive homestead property tax move. And we don't know where that's going to go yet. But what you have now is local governments, which most people don't know that local governments rely about 95, 96% on property tax.
Yes. And is it time for them to really become more conscious of expenses?
Yep. And that's where John, you're in my wheelhouse.
The way they operate the government.
And John, Doc, do y'all remember when politicians were running for office and one of the first things out of their mouth, regardless of their party affiliation, but one of the first things out of their mouth was controlling the growth of government expenses. Say that again, Doc.
Controlling government expenses.
You're controlling government expenses and right-sizing government, and also in addition to that, they talked about the growth, controlling the growth of government. Do you hear that now?
Oh, the fascinating thing is there was a study done once, and it was and I can't quote it, but it was something to the effect of how do we address our own money with our own budgets? We're very careful. When it starts getting away from our money and it's someone else's money, we stop paying the same attention to it.
Boy, you're right.
So maybe if they were forced to focus more like we have to in our own budgets, maybe, just maybe, we wouldn't spend things on lavish things that we just can't afford to do.
Yeah. And John, on that note, I will say this. I do believe that there's a degree of regulatory oversight that just for, public safety, if you would. But what I've seen and started experiencing is you see government grow from a regulatory perspective, and what you see that grows more than anything else is that administrative aspect of it.
Yes.
Well, we want too many things to be governed by the government instead of personal responsibility. That's just true. The government has become in many aspects the entity that controls lives because people can't control their lives. See, when I was a counselor, I used to tell, especially in the drug treatment, the reason you have to see me is because you're not making decisions in your life that show you have control of your life. So I'm there to guide you to develop some guidelines to control your life. See, and that's what the government has stepped in. Now they go take kids. Why? Because the parents can't parent.
And you know what? I'm a critic. I'm a critic of government as well. But here's when the lights just went off for me with government, John and Doc, is that when we were experiencing the pandemic, and you saw private businesses that actually had to constrict or went out of business. You saw that based on the environment, you had to manage. What I did see from a government perspective is growth of government didn't shrink. And so those are some of the things, man, we need to have conversation. Those are the things that I want to hear from our leaders that are running for elective office. And then, and I'm going to say it, City of Apopka, Mayor Brian Nelson, he just recently posted a pie chart of the city budget and its finances. I like that transparency, and I like the fact that he's opening it up so you can see where your dimes are going. And he's talking about reserves. He's talking about holding taxes low and things of that nature. That's the kind of conversation that I want to hear.
Absolutely. Transparency has got to be there. That's what our problem has been all along, is that people, when they're not transparent, things are going on behind the scenes that are just not the kinds of things that we would like. And that's why they're going on behind the scenes.
Let me tell you this, and this is something that I'm reading as one of the updates. Some of the things that are being looked at in this property tax reform is a sweeping resolution to phase out or eliminate most of the non-school homestead taxes. And when they say non-homesteaded school taxes, you're looking at special taxing districts. You're looking at, you're looking at other items that come from property taxes. And one of the things that came to mind is there's about 7 or 8 counties in the state of Florida that have a special taxing that creates children trust organizations, which I'm not a critic of it because I think they do good work, but those are some of the things that are going to be subject to this tax reform.
But why is the government in the business of doing that?
I was one of the first, when I was still in the real estate development business, I was one of the first, I created one of the first taxing districts for a community that I was building, that I was developing in Lake Mary.
Okay.
And we wanted to put special lights in it. They're very attractive lights. And so we developed it, and the city took it on. And so we actually created a special taxing district that just included our community. And we were able, the city put in those beautiful lights, and the city made some really nice revenue out of the additional taxes and cut off that. But that was a choice that we made as a developer.
Hey, so John, on that note, and Doc, this is getting even more so interesting. Based on what John just said,
yeah.
And John, iron sharpens iron here. But based on what you just said, here's my counter to that. If folk go through that process and they can align the votes, hey, the process works the way the process works. But what you just described to me is something that I've experienced in the community that I live in. And we get the tax, and I'm not even going to call it a tax. We get the assessment through our special assessed homeowners association. And if everybody agrees that we're going to, in essence, tax ourselves based on our HOA fees so that we can make improvement, make sure that our community is safe and things of that nature, then again, majority rules, right?
That's right. Exactly. And that's the way it ought to work.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. So, hey, we got to stay tuned. John, we appreciate you being a loyal listener. But before you tune out, tell everybody the organization you represent, man.
I represent the Center for Aggression Management. We discovered how to measure human emerging aggression and thus be able to get out in front and actually prevent that aggression. So when we have incidents, conflict, sexual harassment, abuse, bullying, discrimination, and of course violence, to understand these precursors enable you to get out in front and prevent it from occurring. And you can easily find our company online. You just go to aggressionmanagement.com, and my telephone number is on that front page, and my email address is there. And look it over and learn what you can learn. And if you want to learn more, reach out to me through my email or my phone number.
Hey, John, thank you so much. John, I know I owe you a phone call. I'm in Tallahassee later this evening until Wednesday. So let's try to connect, let's say Thursday sometime.
Sounds wonderful. I look forward to it. Take care, Rod.
Hey.
Always a pleasure.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc.
Hey, thank you.
All right, Doc. Thanks, John. Take care. Bye-bye. Hey, man, that is John Burns. Hey, he always is bringing it to the table now.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You know, I love that when we can interface with our audience and they educate us as much as we educate them.
Hey, Doc, he brought some education, and I'm we're gonna do the research.
Yeah, he really nailed some things that we didn't even know.
And Doc, he did it from an escalation perspective, and I'm gonna tell you what that escalation was for me when he talked about the fact that America generated its revenue from tariffs originally, and then it phased into income tax. But then think about all the things that have evolved and sprang from that. Sales tax. Think about special districting taxes. Think about how this thing continues to evolve, and think about the fact you could work 30, 40 years to pay off a home that you want to value, but if you don't pay that property tax, Doc, and I still have yet to understand that process, that you could go buy the tax certificates of somebody who owns a home and they pay for it.
Well, in Florida, you can't take the house. It's a process where you can get it, but it's basically a foreclosure. And that if you file that foreclosure, it quiets the other lien holders.
Doc, we need to get an expert to come on the show because out of curiosity, and I'm just throwing $400,000 value, $400,000 home. Homeowner hasn't paid their property taxes in the last 3 or 4 years. Property taxes range from $3,500 to $4,000 a year. So let's just say we're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of about $12,000 plus that accrues interest when you don't. So $20,000. So Doc, I just want to know what level or what limit does it get up to before you hear people talk about property or homes being sold on the steps of the courthouse. I really want to know what is this process and how do you get to that point where you can lose your home and not get any value from it?
Well,
I mean, you see what I'm saying, Doc?
Yeah.
So you don't pay your property taxes.
Well, here's the crazy thing. A lot of people don't know this. If you lose that property, they can only sell it for the amount of the property tax.
That's the property tax is owed, right?
Well, they can only collect the property taxes that's owed. The remainder of it goes to the lien holders and the property owners. And a lot of property owners have equity they never go and claim.
Well, Doc,
and there's a whole hidden industry out there.
Here. So Doc, hold up. You don't pay your property tax for 4 years. On average, let's say you're in hot for about $12,000, $4,000 a year.
Right.
So interest and all of that accrues. So let's just say they're into you for about 20 grand. You get noticed, but you paid off this home. There's no mortgage on this home.
Right.
So they sell the tax certificate on the, they sell them. Somebody buys.
Okay. Let's say the taxes are $16,000. They sold your house for $350,000. So less the tax amount, the municipality has to give that homeowner the rest of that money.
I've never heard.
You know that?
I've never heard that. Never.
They by law.
Let's get an expert. Let's get an expert on the show because Doc, I've never heard. I've
because
heard
listen, it's like you ever go to the unclaimed money?
Yeah, I've been there, but they didn't have anything.
It's a whole secret cottage industry, Rod, that people will recover that money for you. And a lot of people don't know. They just, I lost the house at foreclosure.
No, it has to be something. Come on, I know some of our listeners. Somebody's out there.
Somebody call in and tell us if we right or wrong or what. Yeah. But my understanding is that money is given to the state, and the state holds on it till you claim it.
Hey man, somebody out there has some credentials that they can answer this question. If you can, and this might be a topic for another show. Just like John Burns throwing out there about we were living off there.
Let's go here. I can do this live. I think Chat GPT. In the state of Florida, when property is sold for taxes and it has a remaining balance, what happens to that money?
Well, while you wait on chat to give you that answer, if there's anybody else who has credible that we can reference a response to this, hey, call in area code 407-921-6195. And you know, we got to get some legit information.
Now, chat, you couldn't hear chat, right?
I couldn't hear it. No.
Okay. All right. I wish you could have. It says in Florida, if a property is sold at a tax deed sale and the sale amount exceeds the taxes and costs owed, the surplus funds are held by the clerk of court. The original property owner or other parties with a legal interest, like lien holders, can claim these surplus funds by filing a claim. If unclaimed for a set period, they may eventually be forfeited to the state. See, they're not going to notify you. And that's how a lot of people money goes to the state.
Hey, can be forfeited to the state. So
right. So the state ain't gonna call you up and say, hey, we got your money, because they're hoping you forget about it. If you don't claim that money and follow that, then guess what?
Man, I hear what you're saying, Doc, and I'm not doubting what chat has to say about this, but now I want to talk to a live person about this now with credentials. So we'll put that on the table next time. Hey, Doc, I want to move us on, man. And this is something that you, myself, and somebody who's been with us for about 7, maybe 8. Sure, I think it might have been with us 8 years, and he's that younger generation. One of the topics that we were talking about earlier was community safety, public safety, and the role of fathers in communities that need it the most. But that conversation evolved a little bit more, and we started talking about the Black community and some of the things that we need to get our arms around. And Doc, I was saying that our generation, it may not take place in our lifetime. What do we need to do to get across the finish line when we're talking about mobilizing and being, we don't have to have the same thought, but being on one accord when we're talking about business, when we're talking about public safety, and we can talk about Black Wall Street and all of that. We're just talking about what took place in the past. What kind of conversations can we have to move the needle? And
get Mondo in there with you.
Well, I got him. With that, we have a Mondo not in the studio, but we got Armando on the line with us tonight. And Armando, if you would, hey man, how old are you first, so everybody can know what generation we're speaking to?
34.
34. So Armando, when you hear the discussions and the topics, and yes, we've lost some of our leaders. I mean, we've lost 2 notable leaders since 2026, and I'm talking about Claudette Colvin, who refused to give up her seat in Montgomery. And we just also this month lost the Reverend Jesse Jackson. I know, Armando.
Well, tell people who Claudette Colvin is.
Claudette Colvin is an individual who refused to give up her seat on the bus in Montgomery, and really kicked off a movement like none other. And,
so basically, she was Rosa Parks before Rosa Parks was Rosa Parks. Do you know why they use Rosa Parks? And
why?
Covet Cloven. Covet Cloven was a 16-year-old pregnant, unwed mother when she did that. And the NAACP and Dr. King felt that morally she could not represent the best case, put the best case on that. So Rosa Parks had a similar event, and they chose her to be the face of that court case, and that's how we got Rosa Parks. But COVID was the first one in Montgomery to be arrested for that offense.
And she just passed away. I believe it was in January of this year. And Reverend Jesse Jackson, of course, this month. But having that conversation, Armando, 34 years old, man. You're of that younger generation. What are you seeing that we need to do to move the needle?
To move the needle, we gotta want it. We gotta be interested in making changes. A lot of people are mentally stuck in their ways, and they don't believe that something is wrong. So you gotta believe that something is wrong to be able to want to fix a problem.
So Brother Mondo, let me ask you this question. And Doc, I'm gonna pass the baton to you too, because I know how probing you want to be, and I know that relationship you and Mondo have. But Mondo, let me ask you this, because I know my daughters couldn't even answer. Well, they could answer this question, and it'll be in the negative. But Mondo, when you were growing up, you didn't grow up during the time of an encyclopedia, did you?
Nope, did not.
You that ask a question, Google or Alexa or Siri. And so when you talk about you gotta want it, what is it gonna, does that younger population, what's making them interested in wanting it?
Opportunity, being able to get out there and make opportunities for themselves, being able to be somebody, stand out, or even, being able to communicate and work alongside of other races and things like that,
Doc, your thoughts?
I want to ask Armando this. Now, Armando, you know where Doc come from, but one of the things that I always saw with my generation is the fact that we had a mindset where we always felt like we were being challenged in a racial context in most areas. Is that something that your generation deals with?
Yes,
or
a lot of them do.
Okay.
For myself, but yes, I see it out there.
Okay. Is it real or is it a perception?
It's a perception.
Okay. So how do we change that perception? Because there are far more opportunities for young African Americans than I would even dream of when I was that age. I'm just telling you, doors are open where you just walk in. I remember I interviewed for this computer position one time, and the guy we clicked on the phone, we talked good, and I walked into his office. I was black, and he told me the position had been filled, and I knew it was because when I spoke to him, he didn't realize I was black. I guess he thought, he's one of those articulate ones. So that has been my concern, that the young people don't have the same level of grievance that other past generations have, but are they realizing that the degree of opportunity has increased tenfold versus 50 years ago?
Okay, Armando, answer Doc or respond to Doc's question, because I want to go ahead and respond to that, because I want to throw something at you.
So I would say the answer is basically changing the leaders.
Say that again, Armando. Changing the what?
Our leaders.
Okay.
Who the younger generation nowadays, the generation that I'm from, looks up to. It matters. Our leaders these days are not Jesse Jacksons. You know what I mean? Our leaders are the rappers, the people they see on the TV, what they see in the movies and things like that. So they respond, and that becomes their reality.
And Doc, legitimately, Mondo got a point. Mondo has a point. I mean, the younger generation are not looking at respectfully the Reverend Jesse Jacksons and those folks. But with that being the case, Doc, I'm gonna take a different vantage point than what you took. And here's my position and my grievance, if you would, with the younger generation. Opportunities are out there. Opportunities are plentiful. You got to be able to recognize, number one. But here's the other thing that I see. Not being prepared for those opportunities that come your way, and then having a grievance that you're not getting opportunities, but having those opportunities and not walking through the door prepared to address them. What's your thoughts about that, Armando?
I believe personally that the youth these days are not prepared, mentally prepared. They don't have the tools. Well, they should have the tools, but their mindsets just isn't in that specific place to gain them. If, say, a Doc Polite, you pull them to the side and say, "Hey, this opportunity here is here for you, but hey, you can't be late for this opportunity."
See, Doc will shoot straight. I'm glad you brought that. Doc, but with that being the case,
because I lived through.
Because Mondo and we have talked about his position now, and I told him this is how you maximize this moment. Here's what you do, Mondo. And the game is not to be kept; it's to be given away.
Yeah.
I'm 65. What am I going to hold on to the game for? I'm going to pass it along.
I'm glad Armando went there because you bring up a good point, Armando, and I want you to be crisp. We got 5 minutes left. With the fact that Doc shoots straight from the hip, do you believe that younger generation can take that now? Because what I see is it's easier to fold than to stand up and say, "Hey, you know what? You're right. I got to do better." So
the answer is no. They don't believe in constructive criticism. I told a lady today, I think she's 68 years old. I told her today that she taught me how to deal with constructive criticism.
Oh, wow. See, Mondo, we need more of that young generation but young generation willing to accept it. But as the older generation, Doc, we got to also be willing to take that criticism about how we're putting it back out.
Well, here's the thing.
Hey, Mondo, I'm going to go ahead and have you sign off. But, man, appreciate it. And we got to do more of this in the future. Go ahead, Doc.
But one of the things we got to recognize, Rod, is that it's about passing on the knowledge. I'm not trying to tell anybody how to live their life. I am passing on a wealth of knowledge that I gained through trial and error and success. I'm not trying to, it's like I got this saying I say to my son all the time. I am not responsible for the consequence of your choice.
You're right.
You are. I will give you the game, but I can't make you play the game.
You're right. Doc, here's something I need your help with. And we got 4 minutes, and I want you to help me sum this up. I can't sign off tonight without acknowledging the Experienced Christian Center with their leader, Bishop Derek McCrae. I cannot sign off tonight without thanking the ECC family and Bishop McCrae and First Lady. What I experienced, and we're having this conversation, Doc, and this is where I'm gonna pass it off to you. But the leadership at the Christian Center is phenomenal. We talk about standing on the shoulders of giants. Bishop McCrae is a giant, but what I saw in attending their church this Sunday was a lot of giants in the making there too. And so, Doc, John the 21st, and the bishop, I told you, he's a hell of a teacher, man. When he taught.
Yeah, I like that compliment you gave me. He said he did something that you do, Doc.
Yeah, and the way he taught, and Doc, we got 3 minutes, so I want you to sum this up. But now you got me walking around thinking about this verse where it talked about being told I love you 3 times. And Peter was insulted after responding each time saying, "Yes, I do love you." So, Doc, take it from there.
What script chapter you said it was?
John 21 and 14 through 18.
Let me pull the meat off the bone for you. This is where Peter and Jesus had a very unique kind of relationship. And in this, Jesus asked Peter, "Do you love me?" And Peter
3
said,
times.
"Yes, Lord." He said, "Feed my lambs." He said, "Do you?" And he asked him again, "Do you love me?" And Peter said, "Yes, Lord. Take care." And Jesus said, "Take care of my sheep." And Jesus asked him the third time, "Do you love me?" And Peter was hurt because Jesus had asked him that 3 times. He said, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." And what this contraction is that Jesus was teaching him that you can say something, but it's in the action.
In the action.
It's in the action where that love comes through. He said, if you love me, feed my sheep, take care of my sheep. Now, this mirrors the 3 denials that later on Peter denies Jesus 3 times. And you have to understand what this is saying is it's a message of forgiveness, restoration, and commissioning, giving. He knows, Jesus knows that Peter is gonna deny him.
I didn't want to take us to Bible study, but Doc, thank you for that. But what I wanted to emphasize, and I appreciate Bible study, by the way, but man, the way Bishop McCrae taught, it was amazing. Man,
yeah, because Bishop, let me tell you, you made a real impact. Well, Experienced Christian Church, y'all did my buddy, y'all did him up because he couldn't stop talking about it. So man, did you know?
And I'm gonna tell you, Doc, that hey, when you walk in there, you walk in there jumping. But hey, we're at the time of the point of this program that we're gonna sign off. Doc Polite, man, you know I love you, brother. I love what you bring to the table. Armando, thank you for what you contributed tonight. And John Burns always watching the show, bringing another nugget. Next week, maybe the general might be off a special assignment, and hopefully he's here. But if not, I'm gonna be saying the same thing I say at the end of the show every night. And Doc Polite, you don't have to go home,
but you got to get out of here.
We'll see y'all next week on Let's Talk Nation.